So underpinning the conversation I want to have, in a sense, this morning, is I want to talk about mission leadership. I love history. I don't know how many of you like history, and I love Roman history in particular. And there's been lots of series, Rome obviously being one of the key ones here. What I want to do is to take us back some 1,800 years to a period called 180 AD, when Marcus Aurelius was the Caesar. How many of you here have seen the film Gladiator? Lots of people. Okay. How many of you have never seen it? Okay. Well, I promise you at the end of this, but certainly a few of you will say, I must go out and watch it again. But the lovely thing about history is we can see our future by looking backwards. I'm going to take you to the battle scene at the beginning. And the reason for the battle scene is that, in a sense, I think it's representative of the world in which we live in at the moment. That you can start off in a nice room, be very clear about where you're going, get really excited, a bit like that sort of car journey. And then when you set off, in other words, you go into the battle, inevitably what ends up is it is chaotic. And nobody seems to do what you necessarily thought they were going to do. In particular, the competitors don't behave in the way you expected. The environment is against you. And yet, you are still expected to do your piece. Why? Because other people are dependent on you. And one of the challenges of leadership often is that you have to lead from a position. And in this case, imagine standing in front of your team and saying, we've got to act as pincushions. We have the most unsexy mission going. Guys, all we've got to do is go forward and hold the enemy while the cavalry have all the fun and excitement and go around the back. Now, of course, he could take that attitude. And you know the whole principle of energizers and sappers? You have those people who, when you have that conversation, and at the end of it, you feel so energized, you feel great. And then there are the others who you go, and I remember years ago, a couple of friends, I hadn't seen them for years, and they were standing at the bar, and they said, Damien, come over here. So I went over, sat there, and 3 hours later, I thought I was going to go and hang myself. Because it was just, everything was wrong. And you just feel all your energy being sapped out of you. Well, leadership is no different. So in this particular case, the centurion of the infantry will have gone through and said, guys, you know how important it is to win this battle? Because we have to win the war. We're nearly there. Peace is breaking out everywhere. Our role is to hold the enemy in the open, to allow the cavalry a free run around the back. That's what we're going to do. And that's exactly what they did do, and they held them in the open, allowing the cavalry to truly allow people to understand what they need to do and why, but also give them the space to think about how they're going to do it. Then they'll be successful. And in this particular case, Maximus, before the battle, would have spent a bit of time saying, come on, guys, we need to come up with some ideas. Just behaving and operating in the way we've always operated won't necessarily ensure our success. So what is it that's different? What is that center of gravity on the competitor side? What is, in a sense, what's the simple thing we need to do that will win us the battle, not the most difficult? And the simple answer was that the reason why the competitors were fighting the way they were was because of one man, Arminius. If you can deal with that one man, that one individual, then you destroy the desire to keep fighting. You have a better opportunity to have dialogue and work with them and bring them over and make them true allies. We started off and I was introduced to talk about mission leadership. I'm absolutely passionate about this subject. I'm passionate because I think it's simple. I think it fits very neatly into any organization that you're part of. It's not about telling people what to do. If you just tell somebody and order them what to do, then you will get the result that comes from that. If you can keep it such that we're all clear, and by the way, if you were all able to write down what that vision was, and we all knew we're heading in the same direction, that's the first test. The second then is, am I able to write down my mission, which clearly is aligned, and you can see that it's a cause and effect, it'll affect that. Am I clear about the boundaries within which I have to operate? And indeed the interdependencies, and we're really linked, and we understand what we're having to do side by side, so that indeed you get that camaraderie, you get that moment when it's all going horribly wrong, but you can trust each other. If we can do all of those and feel inspired and excited, because that's the leadership, it's that connection between the two, it's that commitment equals empowerment, or accountability equals empowerment, it's that handshake. If we can achieve those, then I promise you you will be the most successful organization you could ever believe you could be. But indeed, feel great yourself when you go home at the end of the day, because I think that's the ultimate test. When you go home with your family, you feel like, I've really done something, and I really feel good about this. Pat, thank you.